going to call this school board meeting to session. The first item on the agenda is adoption of the agenda as submitted.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Do we have any discussion from the board? Any public comment about the agenda? Seeing none. All those in favor? Any opposed? Motion passes. So item number 2 on the agenda, we will go into adjournment for a closed session per NRS 288.220, Section 4, to discuss labor relations with the district's management representatives. And just a reminder, we'll turn our microphones off. And when it comes to question and answer period, because I want to make sure everybody gets a chance. reconvene this Carson City School Board meeting. And at this point, I'll call the board workshop to order. This will be a roundtable discussion focused on special education. And I will invite Spencer and Christy, are you coming up too? And Christy to the dais.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President, and welcome members of the board to this wonderful board workshop. And also we're very grateful that Dr. Lennox is here with us because she is very knowledgeable when it comes to matters of special education. So I believe each of you received just kind of a 3-page handout that kind of goes over, very similar in appearance and organization to the other funds that we've gone through. However, we're just going through one fund tonight. It was the Special Education Fund. It is specifically to take care of our kiddos that have fall into that category, which there's a myriad of ways that can happen. But they gain a whole new subset of laws and everything on how we take care of these kiddos and their education needs. So as with most of our funds, the bulk of this one goes to covering staff salary and benefit costs. You can see that we've got $12.5 million of that covers that. So what I'm going to do, just going to do kind of a quick overview of the $15.2 million of the budgeted amount for this year. And then we'll go back and spend a little bit of time on the positions and then also on the contracted services, which is the lion's share of the funds that we pay out for this. So again, $12.5 million covers our about 147 employees that are funded out of Fund 250, the Special Education Fund, salary and benefits combined. And then next, we have professional services, which a lot of the professional services that we do throughout the district are tied specifically to special education, and that's at $2.2 million. And then we have some program supplies of $55,000. And then equipment, there's a little asterisk next to the vehicles there. These were purchased and intended to be delivered during the last fiscal year, but supply chain issues are no longer a thing, apparently, except unless you're buying buses. So we are a week or two away from taking delivery of those that will help bolster the special education transportation needs that we have. And we're excited to get those on board. That $462,000 was from last fiscal year that will roll in that purchase authority over to this year to complete that purchase. And then a small amount for dues and fees. That's and knew what CPI stood for at 3:00 this afternoon, but I've since forgotten. But we have Dr. Lennox here with us who can probably answer that question.
So the acronym CPI is for our verbal de-escalation services we provide to our staff who work with our students. So it's what we do when a student's struggling, how do we de-escalate the situation? So as far as CPI acronym, I don't have that off the top of my head, but that's what the program is. Oh, thank you. Thank you, thank you. So all of our special ed staff receive this service. Okay.
All righty. And just a quick overview. As of today, this number can change and is fluid, but we've got 1,047 special education students in the district. And of that funding, $5.4 million is state-funded special education funds. $9.1 million is transferred from the general education fund. And then we have, including the buses that was budgeted for last year, about $700,000 of beginning fund balance budgeted to be spent this year to come up to that $15.2 million. So,
Can you repeat that?
yep,
Or am I seeing it not somewhere?
it's
Oh,
not
can
on
you
there. Sorry,
repeat
that's.
that? Can you repeat that?
Yep, $5.4 million is the state special education funding. $9.1 million comes from the general fund transfer. And that's a budgeted amount that can kind of differ as we go throughout the year, but we've got it pinned down to pretty good. And that's $14.5 million of the $15.2 that's on page 1. $700,000 of that's beginning fund balance that was in the fund from last year that's budgeted to be spent this year. 1,047? Yes. All righty, so moving on, we'll go ahead and spend some time on the positions that we have. Like I say, it's 147 positions that's dedicated and paid through from this fund. We have 3 administrative assistants, an assistant director and director of support services, And then we have 11 bus attendants, 10 drivers that are dedicated to special education, a couple of interpreters, and then 8 psychologists, parapros in the various designations of 1, 2, and 3. That's a total of 56, I believe, 57, right about there. And then we have 45 certified teachers, and then 10 speech-language pathologists. You'll notice there is an asterisk next to the psychs, the special ed teachers, and the speech-language pathologists. Those are considered our certified employees. The rest are either classified or our leadership and admin assistants. Any questions about positions funded out of this? All righty. The next large expenditure, if you move to page 3, is our professional services. This is largely contractors, and special education is kind of unique in, it's very fluid. A lot of times we'll have a special education student that can move in mid-year, and from day one, we need to provide services. Having some contractors on hand helps with that fluidity because we can increase or decrease the hours of them, where if we have a benefited employee position, they're with us for the year. And if we have students move away, we still have that employee and the costs associated with that throughout the year. So we get some great fluidity with having some of these benefits offered through contractors. Additionally, sometimes it's difficult to find employees that want to do that. And in this segment of education, largely there's been a lot of these people that offer these services. They like to do it as a contractor because it gives them different flexibilities than it would be being a payroll employee. So a lot of the services that we provide through contractors, assessment services, which is something that's required by law for our special education students, behavioral services and behavioral therapy, caseload management, another one of those requirements that's a must do. And we have some consulting services that we have to do to kind of help manage and take care of all of our caseload of our special education pupils. And then evaluation services. A lot of these students have some needs and some evaluation to help assist with what needs and what services to pair with them to best service the students and take care of their education needs, as well as making sure that we're compliant with all of the laws surrounding special education. We have some music therapy and then a lot of occupational therapy. This is one of those occupational therapy we could have employees on hand. As it just stands now, though, that's all being taken care of by contractors. It's been working out very well for us over the last couple of years. Also some physical therapy, psychological services, and speech. We do have speech pathologists on staff as well as through contracting services. That's one that works out because you can have students that come in and out of speech needs throughout the year. New students get identified of having some needs, others improve beyond needing the speech services, and having contractors on hand really helps with being able to staff that and get everything taken care of. Some translating services as well, because we have some special education needs also paired with English as a second language, and then some vision services. So any questions about the professional services?
Yes, so thank you. Are all of these services required by law?
I'll let Dr. Lennox answer that.
So what the requirement is through the IEP team. And so, for instance, if a parent is requesting an outside eval, we are required to accommodate that. So maybe they need additional testing, those type of things. So through the IEP process, it is decided what this child needs, and that's all through data-driven decisions, right? So like our BCBAs, if there's behavioral issues, the school's tried everything they know to do, then we might bring in one of our BCBAs that we contract with to do an FBA, that type of thing.
So, so some of these services, though, because I think what would be helpful is like a breakdown of how much of this 2.2 million was put into these services, these specific services, and then to find out which ones were, like by law. Like, for example, we know, like you said, Spencer, assessment services, we have to assess by law. So that is something that if it comes down to where cuts need to be made, we know that, well, this isn't going to be a service that we can cut. because this is by law. You know, whether or not behavioral services is by statute, you know, that this is something that we have to provide, then we know that this wouldn't be something that we could cut.
And I'm wondering if it wouldn't be a good idea to maybe do a workshop on like that IEP process, because really that's determined by the team. And so it's not in the law, it's what the educational team deems is necessary for that child. And that's why the list is so expansive, and it's hard to say, because we could have an IEP tomorrow that adds something that's not on this list on there possibly. And so that's the challenge.
I think where I'm coming from is at some point, like we've stated, you know, in the next year or two, we're going to have to cut the budget. You know, that is going to be. And so this is why we're doing these workshops, is to look at, you know, what are our options? Where are they going to be? And so if we look and we tell the student, I mean, I've been through several IEPs in my teaching years, so I know how, but you maybe at that point guide that team going, hey, you know, we need to make this work for the student within these guidelines. You know, on this is all that we have really to kind of work with. So because there is no funding elsewhere is where I'm kind of looking at on the point of these workshops, I guess. And because I am taken back that, and so correct me if I'm wrong on this, but I'm kind of taken back that $9.1 million is coming from the general fund to go towards special ed outside of the state funding and the federal funding. Is that correct?
That it is 9.1. As long as I've been in educational funding, the state has not offered anywhere close to it.
Right.
Every district I work in transfers a considerable amount to special education funds.
Okay, so
It's
then my
n-
next question is and I'm just trying to wrap my head around this. So how much do we get per pupil? Is it,
Special education pupil
no,
or
just general? Is it 9,000?
10,114,
Okay, so
give or
it's-
take.
So it's $10,114. So sorry, bear with me here because I'm trying to wrap my head around this. Right now, special education students are at $14,596.25 is what their average, right? Because I just took the 15 and divided it. So then does that mean they also are within that 10,000 as well?
I think it'd probably, maybe letting Christy just go through the requirements of special education, because some of these things, we don't have the
Right, and that's what I'm
power to
trying
do that. So I think starting with Christy kind of going through what we must do would be great.
Okay, that's
So
what I'm kind of
The
looking at.
state defines for us, like, how many students can be on a caseload. Okay, so when I start with my teachers, a student who might be in like gen ed and maybe some resource, those teachers can have 22 plus 10%. So that's 24 kids per teacher for just that population. Then we get into our alternate standards programs. Those teachers can only have 12. Vision has a number. So every eligibility area of what we're supervising, the state says these are the numbers they can have. Okay. Then that goes the same for like our speech paths. They can have 50 plus 10, so they have 55. So all our students who have speech therapy, I go through and we do numbers every month. They send me in how many teachers have this many kids, how many speech paths service these many students, OT, PT, those things as well. When we assess them, we look at their deficits, and it's all about accessing general ed. So we look at what they need to access an educational environment. So at that point, we say, okay, well, they have these behavior issues. We need some behavioral supports because they can't even maintain in the classroom. Or they can't write because they can't hold a pencil. So that's where all these services start coming in, okay? And so through these various systems or these various supports, sometimes there's staff on staff, or like I said, we have people who work like maybe 20 hours a week. They're just part-time, they're retired physical therapists maybe, and they choose to support us in serving our children, okay? Then sometimes we have services out there that, like our BLAST program. Okay, so that's a program this district supports, but it's a braided program. In the state, we have the PIP. Hold on, I'll tell you that acronym. That one is the Priority Improvement Project, and the state gives us money for that. So that's like 150 that goes into that. Or if we have students that are district, we have done everything we can, and there's reasons that they might need specialized program outside the district. We place them, and then we request, and it's not always a guaranteed. We've never not got reimbursed, but we put in like what we call a case application. So what we'll say is like, we have this, we lay out why we made this decision. We take care of it, and then they will refund. They've refunded us in the past for those. So it's so complex. Out of the 1,040 some odd kids we have, every IEP is so different and what the needs of our kids are. So we have an array here of different services, but the majority aren't getting these services. Like some of these services, like if we're doing an FBA, we have a real concern for safety. Those are 10 to 15 hours by a BCBA who writes our report and tells our team, hey, this is what this child needs. And then they follow to make sure we're implementing correctly, okay? And those are professional services. These are PhD, master level folks, right? Stuff like consulting services, like that is with UNR. What we do are, it's not UNR, it's someone who is a professor at UNR who has a private, who will come and consult with us on running specific programs like our ASP and helps our teacher do, what they need to do for the kids to access. So we can absolutely break these down, and I can kind of say, these are the services being provided, those type of things for you, if that is helpful. But a lot of our work, it is dictated by numbers by the state, and it's numbers, it's not workload versus caseload. Like you can have 10 kids who take very minimal time and maybe 5 who need a lot more support, right? So, but it all starts with the number base is where we start. And then the next process I do is each year, and we do it in the beginning of the year, and then I look again in December on our contracts, that what services are we providing, looking at can we lower the contract, do we need to increase the contract, are the services being provided for what the district's needs are, okay? So looking at very specific needs, and it's not like, well, you have speech, so everybody gets 30 minutes. It just depends on what the professional says, this is a deficit, I need this much time to help them. And that's where all these variables come in. Does that help on how we do that?
Yes. Yes, it does, actually. Thank you. Some of it, though, too, is any of this, of the services that they receive could be billed to individual insurances.
FAPE is the responsibility of the district, and it cannot be. So we are responsible for FAPE, free appropriate public education.
Well, that I get, but I thought possibly.
I mean, and it's very complicated, and I think this is why when you go to NASB meetings and National School Board Association meetings, one of the biggest points that are always advocated is that special education be fully funded. And what that means is the federal government had set out to fund it, what was it, 40%, which they've never come anywhere near. And so these concerns we all deal with. And when you hit a certain point, the state only funds you up to, is it still 13%?
1340. We were fully funded, I will say, this year. The state has been good. They gave us what we had last year for special ed. So,
but if all of a sudden a bunch of kids came in and were qualified over that percentage, we don't get
extra
that money.
No.
But wait a minute. When you say fully funded of what you got last year, but that's not the 9.1 million that was coming
No,
out.
that's
right.
what they funded us last year. They gave
So
us
we
the-
weren't really, just
No,
so
no,
those
when I
who are
say fully,
watching,
yes.
we're not really
Yeah,
fully
we're not
funded.
No, ma'am, I'm sorry, you're correct.
We were
Yes.
not the
Yeah,
exception.
They did not cut our.
Right.
I mean,
funding.
Okay, that's what, yeah.
Our special education funding from last year is the same as this year. There's no
Yeah,
reduction.
no, I just wanted to make sure anybody that's out there
Which we
watching.
cross our fingers every year that will happen.
Okay,
And another thing the federal government has done to try and help districts out is that Medicaid. So we spend
That's
a
what-
lot of time, and that's the federal government's efforts on these funds that are only allowable for districts, but it's not for every category. So like our speech paths, we pay them and the district gets a reimbursement, right? OTs, PTs, I think fall under that. There's some other categories we've looked at, but you really got to balance if the paperwork and the requirements to receive that funding, if you are making any money or you're paying other people to manage it. Yeah, they're going to give you $10, but it costs us $20 to get the $10. So we're always watching that. Counseling, nursing services. So those are the areas that the federal government says, hey, let's kind of help you out and we'll give you some back, but it is not fully.
Okay. My next, because that's where I was looking like with, because, so behavioral therapy, right? You could possibly go see a psychologist for that. You could possibly get your family physician to refer you to go see a psychologist for the behavioral therapy. So then is there any way, or, the psychologist as well? I mean, you can sometimes get referrals from your family physician and then your insurance covers it, but that's not something.
So the school psychologist is a different role than like a clinical psych in the community. They are assessing to see. So it's a battery of tests. So what will happen is someone suspects a disability, a parent, a teacher, somewhere, they come in and they suspect a disability. And then there's a conversation with the psychologist on, hey, this is our concerns. And they build what they call the scope, and they do a battery of tests. And they take this test, and then they look to see the scores if it aligns with the NAC and what the NAC says in eligibility out of the 13 categories. So they're not doing like therapy like you're thinking, right? But we do utilize, like if a student's struggling, we have social workers, and they do utilize those as well in the school system if someone on an IEP needed that. Okay, so that's really assessments. If there's a crisis in school, they'll help out with those type of things. But it's really assessing to see if they qualify under the NAC.
Can I go on?
Yeah, and then let's give other
Great,
people a
okay.
chance to take it.
Because it has been brought to my attention, and the question was asked on, whether or not the school district is doing as much as they can when it comes to billing Medicaid. And I think you address that is by saying, we could be billing them for $20, or how did you say it?
I just said if they're going to give us 10, but it costs us 20 to
20, right.
recoup it.
Right.
You
And I see that happening. I mean,
Yeah.
I can see that happening. So thank you for addressing that. Thank you.
Thank you. Good questions. Do I have any other questions from the board? All right. Did you have a question, Matt? No. I think I would recommend planning some kind of a workshop and really going through those special education requirements because they are complex. And Molly, one of the things that I think about as a school principal, sometimes you have those conversations with families, and there are some things that the school psychologist can't diagnose that a family doctor or somebody outside the scope of the school can. And so sometimes a family will have reports from a doctor or a clinician that they share with the school. And so sometimes it's that process that it's the insurance and the school, but the educational side of things it's our responsibility.
And we have to consider it. So if someone brings in a list of these, we go through each one and address it. Sometimes we collect more data, we do our own testing. Like it is a process to really work with our families to meet the needs of their students.
Right. And no, I understand, just being in the classroom, I understand that. But I don't think those who are just kind of like looking at the budget as a whole going, how can you be in the position that you are actually understand the individual needs? Like you said, not one student's IEP is, identical to the next. It isn't that easy. And so I do appreciate your time in bringing this forward. Thank you.
And absolutely, I can put a workshop together.
All right, thanks.
I just have a quick curiosity question, just in the name of understanding. When a child is going through the process, is it something that is initiated by the parents, or is it something that the teachers and educators can also initiate to say, hey, I think there might be something to diagnose here, or is it parent-driven?
So anybody can bring it to the attention, and that's when they meet to see what the concern is and what our next step is. So sometimes maybe we'll make it real easy. Someone's concerned about a reading issue. We might refer them to the MTSS process and start there and start collecting data and providing interventions. So as a district, we're required to have interventions for students. Or they could say, ooh, we're really concerned, let's go straight to testing, right? So it just depends on what the concern is, what comes out of those conversations, and our next move to support that student. Okay.
Mike, I do have one thing.
Go ahead.
The 1,000+ special ed students, is that kind of where it's been for a while, or do we see that the number increasing every year?
We're down a little bit in the
Down a little bit.
district, yes. We have different areas that are rising, but across the board, we're down about 30, 40 students just off the top of my head.
Thank you.
All right, any last minute questions? All right, I thank you both for the presentation and great information, and we will be in recess until 6:30.
Thank you.
going to reconvene this Carson City School Board meeting. And I'd like to move on to item number 5. Trustee Varner, would you please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance? Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Fueling for his superintendent's report.
Thank you, Vice President Walker. So first, if you didn't know, school started on Monday. And leading up to that, just very, very grateful and want to say a big thanks to our custodial and grounds staff for all the work they did this summer. It's so much, and going through the schools, as you know, checking out all the capital projects as they're going on, but then all of this maintenance work that's happening. Special shout out to Mike Ulrich at Mark Twain Elementary School. That place looked like it opened up back in 1992. It was incredible, the work he did. But thanks to all the guys' work. Special thanks to Mary Prey for helping organize and Renee Cortez, I'll throw her in there too, for helping organize our back to school event. Mary's also doing a lot of the work with our new hires and organizing what has become just an incredible program to get our new folks ready to be a part of the district. And there's a lot. So it's a lot of work. So special thanks to Mary, and the kickoff event with all of our school year staff coming back was fantastic. We had a beautiful day, and just grateful that we got a whole lot of good folks working for us. Quick update on enrollment. Looking at enrollment numbers this time of year is not, it fluctuates a lot. I'll just say in the first 2 weeks. Once we get past the first 2 weeks, and really kind of Labor Day is really that first Monday after, or I guess Tuesday after Labor Day is really the kind of our best real start indicator. A lot of families might be enrolling late or just moving into the community and just getting into the schools. So that'll be our kind of benchmark. It looks like we are down a bit, which is what we expected, but we know over the first 2 weeks we're generally adding kids as those weeks go on. So we'll have a better feel for that here in about 2 weeks of where we landed. That is about all I have. So thank you very much.
So, Mr. Fueling, one of the back-to-school comments I received was how appreciative staff members were for your address and the relationship you have, knowing so many people personally that work in the district. And so it was mentioned that they felt valued. So thank you for that. Do we have any questions for the superintendent? All right. We will move on to board reports. And first up is Carson High School. Is that the other Mr. Fueling in the room? All right, we'll invite the other Mr. Fueling to the podium.
Hi, my name is Cooper Fueling. I'm the student body school board representative for Carson High School. I just have a few things today. So as we all know, like, school has officially started last Monday. It's been pretty successful so far. We have some new policies at the high school, especially like with the phone pouches, and so far it's been going well. Not too much resistance to that. Fall sports are in full swing. Every sport has played some games so far. And with that, student council has organized a student section for every single game. Whether or not there are many fans who show up, we wanted to show appreciation to all the teams, not just football. So we're trying to be more inclusive in that this year. This Thursday and Friday, varsity football is traveling down to Las Vegas to play Canyon Springs High School. And then on Friday morning as well, from 6 to 7 a.m. on the football field, Student Council is putting on Senior Sunrise, which is just a fun event to kind of get the year started for all of our seniors. So the junior class puts that on, so all the seniors get to have fun. And then on Saturday following that, all the seniors will be hiking up Sea Hill to change the 25 back to the sea. That's about it. Any questions?
I will add, I did notice that you guys added themes for all the sports, which I didn't know it was happening, and then I saw it like after tennis. Wait, a whiteout? Shoot, I didn't know you were gonna do that. I'll start paying attention now. So, thank you for that. I think that's a really cool inclusion to make sure all sports feel like they matter. So, thanks for that.
Thank you, Mr. Fueling. Unfortunately, Maggie was not able to join us, and so I have a update from the Silver Campus to start, and I'm going to read it. So if it sounds a little, this is in her voice, not my voice. To start off, the Silver Campus has had a makeover and acquired many new faces over the summer. We'd like to give a warm welcome to all the new teachers and staff who we are happy to report have settled in nicely over the past week. The Silver Campus is holding its back to school night on September 9th from 5 to 6:30 for family members of students and the community to meet the new teachers and say hello to familiar faces as well. We hope that you will all be able to join us. The Carson High's speech and debate team, coached by our Mrs. Schufelt, is ready to kick off the season with their up-and-coming tournament on the 12th and 13th of September. Make sure you wish the team some good luck. And this concludes the announcements from the Silver Campus. So we will move on to Nevada Association of School Boards. Trustee Varner?
Yes, I have a couple things. On this Thursday, August 28th at 6 p.m., NASB is hosting a Zoom workshop on transparency and accountability, basically on navigating the Public Records Act in education. Everyone who is registered should have received an email from Executive Director Rick Harris with several attachments to review before the workshop, and also be prepared to report out about a 3-minute presentation on some of the questions he asked in the email. It should be a good training class. And then on September 5th, a joint meeting with the executive board and directors will be held in Las Vegas at 4 p.m. and it's going to be held at the Clark County School District. Then on the following morning at 8:30, the professional development training will begin at 8:30. The topic is conflict resolution and de-escalation skills. And again, it's going to be held at the Clark County School District. And this training is also aligned with the Certified Public Officers Program. So if anybody's enrolled in that program, it'll count towards your hours for that completion of that program. No, the Saturday one will. Yeah. And that's my report for NASB.
Thank you, Trustee Varner. So we'll go through board announcements, starting with Trustee Peterson.
I did not get responses to my inquiries, so I don't have a whole lot to report. Hopefully it means that they are having a really, really great first week and they're just so busy having a good time and making things happen. So Carson High, we had a great presentation by Cooper, so thank you for all that. I will add the Carson High boys tennis team is undefeated because we just beat Douglas this week, so go Carson boys tennis. And Mark Twain, yeah, I hope all is well, and I will check in person and hopefully have a better update next time.
Well, no news is good news, right? Trustee Roberts, do you have a board announcement?
Yeah, just a couple things. MAP testing is this week, so good breakfast, good night's sleep is always helpful. And then the Fall Festival is coming up on September 12th from 4:30 to 6:30. And then they're just really excited about the district's new reading program that's going to support the students. And it's been something that's been missing from general education, reading instruction. So they're really excited for all that that's going to bring. And that's it.
Thank you. Trustee Varner.
Yes, I have one for Boardrook Bray. And Principal Roquetta stated that they started sorting their students into houses today, and this will continue on Thursday. I'm not really familiar with the program she's talking about, but I will go down and visit with her and figure out more about it. But it's a new concept. I guess they learned over the summer when they attended the Ron Wood Academy. Ron Clark. And so I will be going down and visiting and find out more about that program. And then she would also like to have as many parents attend when they're doing these house assignments. And it has been a great start to the year so far, and she wants to thank all of their parents and families for all their support. That's my report for Boardwalk, but I have a short one for Fritz Elementary. And Principal Brown would like to invite their families to the first PTA meeting, which will be held on Monday, September 8th at 3:30. They will also be having Fritz Day at the Aces Ballpark on Sunday, September 14th. And you can enjoy $1.50 hot dogs, so you don't have to go to Costco. But anyway, that's all I have for my report.
So Trustee Varner, you could also watch Harry Potter. You'll get a good concept of houses.
You know, I've never watched Harry Potter. I hate to say, but I may have to do that to get a concept of what
Yes.
they're doing.
Trustee Clapham, do you have a board announcement?
I do, thank you. From Miss Robinson over at Carson Middle School. She said they had a great start to the year, a great turnout for their sneak peek, and they're looking forward to seeing all the families at the back to school night, September 17th from 5:30 to 7:30. They had girls basketball tryouts, and their season is underway. Cross country starts this week, and they're now excited to announce that they have a cheer team at Carson Middle School this year. Cheer tryouts are this week as well. School pictures are going to be September 3rd, and all picture orders are now online through mylifetouch.com, and the QR code was sent out through Parent Square. From Miss Hoppy over at Eagle Valley. Sorry, I'm loading. This is not good. Darn it. Oh, I think I'm good. Maybe not. Come back to me, please. Sorry.
Trustee Wall?
Yes, so Miss Virgil from Empire Elementary School states that Empire is off to a smooth start this year. They teamed up with Mark Twain staff for an excellent professional development on professional learning communities and had a great turnout of families at their back to school event. Their fall festival is October 17th at 5 p.m., so please mark your calendars. And the students, I am so grateful for this, Mr. Fielding, but the students are loving their basketball court, their new basketball court. Yeah, so she said that they are just doing great. So I would like to say, appreciation on the fencing and getting all that done. So thank you. But they are so grateful for that, and they love their basketball court. And they found a great long-term sub for music while they continue to search for to fill that position. So anybody interested in being a music teacher, please reach out to our district office. And then this is not about our schools, but this is about a lot of our teachers, I think. The University of Montana Western Bulldogs are having a Bulldog back UNR. So the UNR coach of football is Jeff Choate, who graduated. We graduated together. He played football with my husband as well and graduated from University of Montana Western in Dillon, Montana. And so they're coming down and they're doing an event where it says Bulldogs are backing the pack. So I am asking anybody can go to the game, of course. It's Friday, October 25th, but they are going to have a section for all alumni from Western, and I am surprised at how many teachers around here are from Western. So please reach out to me if you have any questions, or you can visit the University of Montana Western Foundation page. But they have a tailgate, a game, the game, and then they'll have bowling the next day as well. I think it's going to just be great because there's so many people from Montana in the area. That's all.
Thank you. Trustee Clapham, are you ready?
Thank you. Sorry about that. So from Miss Hoppy at Eagle Valley, she says that they've made it through the first week of school. They have open gym for girls. Will be on Monday and Tuesday from 3 to 4:45. And then tryouts for girls basketball will be on Thursday and Friday from 3 to 4:45 this week. Mrs. Tucker will be hosting a Lego robotics meeting in her classroom on Tuesday, August 26th from 2:30 to 3 in room 150. And parents are welcome to attend with their student. Starting on Tuesday, September 2nd, they will start their fall map testing. Picture Day is going to be September 18th. And finally, they're looking for some donations from families for pants and shirts so that they have extra clothes on campus for the students. And then along with map testing, they'll be celebrating Arts and Education Week with activities at lunch for the students. So they got a lot going on. I won't read each day, but it looks like it's going to be a fun week. So.
Great. And we'll close this out with announcements from Sealiger Elementary School. There is lots of excitement this new year, and so they want to thank all the parents and community members who came to their back to school night last week. They are taking map tests this week, and the PTO is having a fundraiser at the Aces baseball game on Sunday, and she is hoping to see lots of Sealiger Pirates in the stands. So that concludes my report as well. Next on the agenda will be association reports. Do we have any association reports to present? Seeing none. Next item on the agenda will be public comment. Do we have any in-person public comment? Okay, seeing none, I will close in-person public comment. So item number 10 is I'm going to introduce Trustee Walt and Lucia Maloney to present on the Sea Hill Flag Foundation and the Sea Hill flag.
Thank you. So here tonight we have the chair, I believe, of the Sea Hill. That is your position, right? Chair? President of the Sea Hill Flag Foundation, Lucia Maloney. She'll describe to you what this, what the project is, but I had asked Lucia when we met that it would be possibly a great partnership to get the JROTC program in with this, with the idea from Mr. Fueling. But yeah, so I think this would be a great partnership, and Lucia will explain what the whole project is going to be, and where possibly, JROTC program can fit in on this as well. But yes, thank you for coming, and then if you'll introduce your guest as well. Thanks so much.
Hi, good evening. I'm Lucia Maloney. I'm the president of the Sea Hill Foundation, and I'm joined tonight by Katie Lara, who's the treasurer of our foundation. The flag has been up on Sea Hill since after 9/11, and last fall, the original folks that started the Sea Hill flag were ready to pass the baton. The flag's in need of rehabilitation. Some panels have been removed. Panels are peeling back, and a portion of the flag has collapsed after time, weather, and all the visitors that have been up there. So we have taken the torch, and over the past few months, we've worked with the city of Carson City, and are partnering with both the city and the Foundation for Carson City Parks and Recreation to rehabilitate the flag. As Molly said, I discussed with her a few weeks ago how we can get ROTC students involved in the project, and we're looking to make this rehabilitation project something that is fun and inclusive of everyone here in town. The flag is a symbol on the hill of what Carson City can achieve when we come together, right? And so we would love the ROTC to be part of it. Big picture on the schedule for the rehabilitation, we are planning, as it says in your staff report, a decommissioning ceremony at 10 a.m. on October 4th. A press release is going out in the next couple of days, so you'll see something in the paper on that. The ceremony will take place at the base of Sea Hill, so folks that want to participate and come, you don't have to do a big hike. We'll have a little ceremony. I have been in contact with the ROTC, and they're willing to present the colors for us, which I think will be really nice at the beginning. We'll give a little background on the flag, and then following the ceremony, we'll have a volunteer workday. So right now, we're recruiting volunteers. There are several hundred panels, and as Katie can attest, the panels are much bigger than you think. They're 3 feet by 4 feet. They're aluminum. You can think of it like an aluminum sandwich with a corrugated plastic in the middle. So they're fairly light, but they're big and they're awkward. So we're looking for as many volunteers as possible. We've been in contact with some off-highway vehicle folks that may help bring people up the hill and materials and supplies. But we'll be taking down the flag on October 4th. So big volunteer effort there. Over the winter and early spring, we'll be doing some engineering and some structural work on the flag itself. And then there'll be another big push for volunteers when we replace the panels prior to Flag Day or 4th of July of next year. So we're looking for any help that the ROTC and really any students and anyone in Carson City wants to provide. We also will be having a big fundraising effort. So for more information on all of this and to sign up to volunteer, our website is carsonflagfoundation.com. And you can also email us at carsonflagfoundation@gmail.com. Did I miss anything, Katie? Got it all. Okay. And we're happy to answer any questions.
What is your anticipated cost
We have a
of replacing it?
That's a great question. We have a quote to replace the panels at roughly $30,000 right now. And if you've hiked up there or you've seen some of the photos online, you can see that some of the aluminum framing is damaged and some of the steel underneath needs work, as well as some of the concrete footings have just eroded over time. But we really don't know what's going on in the structure until after we remove the panels. So right now, the total project cost is estimated at somewhere between $40,000 and $75,000, depending on how much steel needs to be replaced.
Do we have any other questions from the board? Go ahead, Richard.
Are you looking for the NJROTC students to go up and actually help remove the panels and put the panels back?
We would appreciate all the help we can get. And as we understand, there's several hundred ROTC students. And so if they're willing to help us, and we would appreciate it. Yes.
And maybe this is a question for the superintendent or Mr. Ryan Russell. If one of the students, if it's a school-sponsored activity, and one of the students by chance gets injured, what's our liability?
I don't know off the top of my head, but if the ROTC is going to be involved, the superintendent can certainly coordinate that, and I'll work with him to make sure that everybody's protected from a liability standpoint.
I think that'd be important, and hopefully nothing like that would happen, but we got to look at that possibility and make sure we're prepared.
If I may, in addition to anything that the school district does, we, in partnership with Carson City, all of the volunteers that go on site will sign a waiver, the city's waiver, and will be covered under the city's liability insurance as well.
Well, just to close this out, you know, Sea Hill has become really synonymous with Carson City School District, and I know all of us look forward to that day in May or June when that number, the C, turns into a number, and wait till it turns back to a C. So I hope that we rally together as a community and get that updated, because it is a great feature and I think it's important to all of us. So thank you for doing this.
It's a very important program. Thank you.
We agree. Thank you so much for your support.
And before, I just want to thank you as well, and thank you for coming this evening, and I hope your dry run goes tonight.
Thank you so much for having us.
Next up, we have Linda Fields and Dan Carson's presentation of the civics test results for the Carson City School District class of 2025. This is for discussion only. Turn the clicker on with on the side of it, there's a power button. The little handheld clicker.
On the side.
Get it, Linda? If you wouldn't mind starting by introducing yourself, I'd appreciate it.
Hi, my name is Linda Fields, and I'm the new Social Studies Coordinator for the Carson City School District.
Dan Carstens, principal at Carson High School.
And the learning outcomes for this presentation is I will be reviewing the statutory requirements for Nevada Revised Statute 389-009, which is a civics test requirement for graduation. And Mr. Carson will be reviewing the updated Carson City School District civics test administration and reporting requirements, as well as previewing the results from the 24-25 civics test participation and pass rates. Just to review the legislation, NRS 389-009 sort of mandates that all students that are wanting to receive a diploma in the state of Nevada take the civics test. Section 1 just sort of describes the content of the test, and the test is really, the questions are identical to the questions contained in the civics portion of the naturalization test. Section 2 goes over the scope and format of the test and also determines the course in which the examination will be administered. Each school district establishes also the number of questions that will be included, which be not less than 50. And then also determines, each school district determines the desired score on the examination and the manner in which those results are administered. And then finally, then two, Section D is that the board report, that the results and that the results are reported to you guys at the school board by August 31st of each year. Section 3, in Section 3 of the statute states that all students must take this test in order to be able to be eligible for graduation. However, Section 4 states that there could be a waiver based on a student with a disability that's on a IEP where the disability doesn't allow them to be able to take the test. Section B really we haven't had too much issues with in a Carson City School District, but it's for English learners in which the language is not provided. And then Section C is that a principal also can be able to give a waiver in terms of good faith when all other academic requirements have been satisfied. Section 5 is the new requirement that came out of the 81st legislature, and that on or before December 31st, the Board of Trustees of each school district will report the aggregated results of the examination to the Nevada Department of Education.
All right, my turn. So basically our test administration, we have to determine where it's going to be given. Government is a one-semester course. Some kids take it in the first semester, some kids take it in the second semester. And also juniors take it during their jumpstart year for political science. And we're actually working on a few things to make sure that our counselor goes up there a little bit more to WNC to make sure we capture all of our jumpstart juniors. The number of questions, we hit the minimum, 50, and pass rate, or the passing score is 60%. And it is 10% of their summative grade. The biggest thing, the change in red there is report the aggregated results to NDE by December 31st. So that's what we are preparing to do, and we'll have that done by the 31st. So And this just kind of, this slide just kind of tells you that that is what we're doing. We revised the policy to include the submission of the final report to NDE by December 31st. And then also to test students in online and Jumpstart programs. So we just made sure that that policy was revised there too. For our internal protocols, this is just really what we're doing on the back end of this to make sure everybody takes the test. And really, I can read it to you, but I know that you guys probably can read pretty well at this point. The next one is just a couple of sample questions there. Does anybody know the answer to that one? Who's Commander-in-Chief of the military? Mr. Fueling, you know, I'm sure you know that one, correct? It's not you? All right. And then just here's our participation data, 99.6% participation rate, which I think the 90% is the threshold. We got a little bit higher than that, so that was good. There were a few waivers. There was only 2 students that did not take it, but those students did I believe they did get a waiver on it because they met all of the other requirements for graduation. And I believe the reason was they just weren't there. And then our pass rate, pretty high pass rate, pretty similar to last year. We had a few more students take it this year, but 97.4% of our students passed the civics test. That's it. Short and sweet. Any questions?
Just an easy one. On the previous slide page where it said did not receive diploma 2 students, is that students who did not receive because they did not
No.
take it or they would
No,
not have anyway?
2
Okay.
students that did not meet graduation
Okay.
requirements.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That was I hoped.
No, we didn't hold anyone back for the civics test.
Steve Varner?
How's the test administered to online students? Do they have to come in person to take it, or do they take it online?
Yes, this year we formalized procedures where all students are coming in person to take the test. So that's where the good cause waiver perhaps sometimes get in. We had a couple students that were under McKinney-Vento that weren't able to come in person to take the test. But by streamlining it and having it all online, this year it was all taken through Mastery Connect. And so even the Jumpstart students and online students were enrolled in a Mastery Connect so that they were all taking the same form with the same methods. So that was one of the things that we did clean up a little bit to make sure that it was consistent with other graduation tests like ACT, SBAC, and things like that.
Is this something that is administered all at once in one time, or is it like when you finish your government class, then you take it at the end of course, so everybody's fresh when they take it?
Yeah, typically that's when they take it because it is 10% of their summative grade. There's makeup tests and everything too. There's a date that we got to bring in our Jumpstart juniors. So there's times where we have to pull kids back in is really what it comes down to.
Any other questions? Thank you for your presentation, and maybe next year we could get that 3% and see 100% on that. It'd be nice. So, but we want to see 100% on all those assessments, Mr. Carstens.
We always shoot for perfection.
I know.
And
we
I
do.
apologize that we don't quite reach it, but that's the goal.
But we blame Ricky for that.
I do
So
too.
we're going to grill him when he gets up here in a minute.
Sounds like a plan.
Thank you. Next up, we have Pam Copperwaite and Brandon Bringhurst, presentation of the K-5 Core Knowledge Language Arts and Literacy Program for Carson City School District. And this is a discussion only. I'd appreciate it if you introduce yourself to start with.
Good evening. My name is Pam Copperthwaite. I'm the Carson City School District Literacy Coordinator.
And I'm Brandon Bringhurst, Chief Academic Officer for Carson City School District.
I have my notes with me because this is really important and I want to make sure I don't forget to tell you anything. So I'm here to talk about the adoption of our new reading curriculum for elementary school. It is Amplify CKLA, which is Core Knowledge Language Arts. So I have some statistics I want to present to you that you probably don't know, but Mr. Walker, you might know these. Okay, so students who are proficient in reading by the end of first grade have less than a 12% chance of not being proficient in the future. And that's a pretty big deal because students who are not proficient by the end of first grade have a 90% chance. Did I say that wrong, the first part? I think I said 90%. They have less than a 12% chance of not being proficient if they are proficient, but if they're not proficient, they have a 90% chance of struggling in the upper grades and into adulthood. Sorry if I messed that up. So you might be asking yourself, what is a proficient reader in first grade? It is a student who can read grade level text fluently and ask and answer questions about stories and books and other texts that they read or have read to them. Okay? And on our MAP test, students who are proficient usually score within above the 60th percentile. So here's our MAP data for Carson City the last 3 years. The Nevada Read by Grade 3 law requires that students who score below the 41st percentile must have an individual literacy plan. However, students who score between the 41st and the 60th percentile are considered average readers. But we know that students who score in that area most likely will not pass the SBAC assessment. Students who are above the 61st percentile are more likely to do that. Okay. Before we start talking about why we chose CKLA, I want to talk to you about what happened previously in the Carson City School District. So in about the year 2000, I believe, we adopted Success for All, SFA, and that was in our schools for about 20 years. And I'm not positive that it was the year 2000, I just know that we had it for 20 years. And it got a little bit stale, so we decided in 2019 that we needed a new curriculum. And so we chose HMH into reading. But over time, we found that HMH was not structured, nor was it explicit for our teachers. And 8 months into our first year of adoption, 2020 happened, and our school shut down. And because we did not have a structured or explicit curriculum, our students and our teachers struggled. So I want to talk a little bit about the science of reading. The simple view of reading is a view that reading comprehension is made up of two components, word recognition and language comprehension, okay? You might notice that there is a multiplication sign and an equal sign. And when I first saw this, I wondered to myself, why is that not a plus sign, an addition sign, right? Why isn't it word recognition plus language comprehension equals reading comprehension? But it's because reading comprehension is the product, okay? So if a student has all of the skills needed to read, all of those foundational skills, and they have really good language comprehension, then they will have great reading comprehension. But what happens if they don't have one of these things? If they have zero word recognition, they don't have those foundational skills. They could have great language comprehension. They're going to have zero reading comprehension because 0 times 1 is 0. If they have partial word recognition and partial language comprehension, they're going to have very little reading comprehension. Reading is not a natural process in our brains. It's not like language acquisition. It's not babies come out and they start grasping language immediately, right? Reading is not that. It is a man-made process. Reading and writing are man-made processes. Some students pick it up easier than others, but lots of them need more practice, with explicit instruction. So this looks pretty simple, right? Teach them some phonics, give them some vocabulary, and they'll be able to read. But it's not quite as simple as that. So Dr. Scarborough in 2001 said, I think we need to break down word recognition and language comprehension for our educators. If you look at the left side of the reading rope, on the bottom, we have phonological awareness, which is sounds and syllables in words. You have decoding, which is the sound symbol correspondence, so actually being able to read. And then you have sight recognition, because when you're a good reader, all words are sight words. Okay? And those three things make up word recognition. When we look at language comprehension, that's even a little more complicated, because language comprehension requires background knowledge, it requires vocabulary knowledge, it requires a knowledge of language structures like syntax and semantics, and it requires students to have some verbal reasoning, being able to make inferences, for example. And it requires basic literacy knowledge, just being able to read from left to right, knowing different genres. So what Dr. Scarborough said is we could represent each one of these skills with a strand in a rope. And as word recognition becomes increasingly automatic and language comprehension becomes increasingly strategic, then those strands are woven together to create skilled readers, which is reading comprehension. So why did we choose Amplify CKLA? First and foremost, because it's aligned with the science. It's strong in all strands of the reading rope. It includes writing every day for kindergartners through 5th grade. And it assesses all 5 pillars of literacy and writing, which is something that was lacking in our previous curriculum. So remember when I told you that HMH was not explicit and it was not structured? Well, Amplify is structured. It's explicit for our teachers so that our teachers can be explicit with our students. It's systematic, it's cumulative, and it focuses on building knowledge for our students. Students want to know about the world around them, and they deserve to know about the world around them. And that's what CKLA does. I also want to add that all of our schools, all of our classrooms are piloting the Amplify M class this year, which is an aligned intervention program. It's aligned with CKLA. It provides a lot more information for our teachers and our parents, and it's going to help when our teachers have to create individual literacy plans. It's going to decrease the amount of time that takes. So, yeah.
Just to get in the weeds a little tiny
Yes.
bit, how often is that given? Is it 3 times a year?
Yes, and we were already screening 3 times a year along with our MAP test. We were giving universal screeners. But then teachers were having to figure out the scores and put all of those scores into a spreadsheet, right? And do all of the analyzing of all of that data. And M-Class does that for them. They still sit one-on-one with students, but they're taking the actual data right into the program. So they have immediate feedback on what those students need. So you probably know that to have an effective curriculum, we have to have effective instructors, right? Effective teachers. So over the past year, we have been building capacity. This year, we had a full day of Amplify training before school started, but that's never enough when you're adopting a new curriculum. We will have additional on-site training this year that's differentiated by school site, and each school will have a full day of observation and coaching with an Amplify expert. We have a cohort of 38 teachers in their second year of letters, which is Language Essentials for Teachers of Reading and Spelling. It's an intensive 2-year professional development program that teaches teachers about how the brain learns to read and what effective instructional practices look like. We will have an additional 20 teachers begin year 1 this year. Yes.
And I just want to highlight for the board that this is a very rigorous program. And to become certified, they have to pass it at 80%, which it's insane how hard some of those things are for the teachers and how much work they put into that. And so to have, 58 teachers that are going to be working on letters endorsement is huge. And I think that's going to be great for our students.
It absolutely will. They put in about 170 hours over 2 years that they don't get paid for. They do that on their own time. In addition, our instructional coaches and site leader, administrators have been leading book studies around the science of reading to help our teachers understand what best practices look like and to let go of some of those practices that we need to let go of. But before I leave you tonight, I want to share with you why I am so passionate about literacy and about the science of reading. And that is because of the consequences of what happens with our students when they leave our elementary schools without being proficient readers. First of all, they will have persistent reading difficulties into adulthood. Remember that statistic? About 90% of them will not be able to be proficient later on. They have lower academic attainment, less likely to go to college. They're more likely to have poor physical health, as well as mental health issues such as anxiety and depression. They will have limited employment opportunities and reduced earning potential. And they will have a higher risk of social issues such as poverty and potential involvement in the justice system. So we owe it to our students to have the most effective teachers teaching the most effective curriculum. And with that, I will ask if you have any questions.
Is this digital? Like, I think back to the SFA and my kids bringing home the paper with like tangible. Is this a tangible or is it on
It's
screen?
tangible. They have books. The books stay at school, but they have things that they will be bringing home to practice reading.
Just a question, probably for another day, but so the kids that went through, is it the HMH?
Yes.
What can the district do to help those kids that went through the pandemic and all of that in elementary school? What are we able to do something to help them get caught up if they are behind?
So our current fifth graders are the ones that started school in 2020, 2021 school year. They came to school for 2 years with masks, which difficult to learn to read when the teacher is masked and the students are masked. We have been doing interventions. M-Class is going to make it much easier. The interventions we have been doing were supported by evidence, but it took a lot of time for the teachers to figure out which interventions students needed. They had to prepare the materials for those interventions. They had to analyze all that data. So we have been doing things for them. And we're hopeful that with the new curriculum that we have, that we will be able to help those students that have fallen behind.
Sorry, what about those kids? So for instance, like my kids were in elementary school, I think second, third grade. Now one's in high school, one's in 8th grade. So what about that age group? Is there something that we can catch them up with by any chance, or?
The middle and high schools, that's a great question. We want all of our students to be able to be proficient readers. And that's a big part of the MTSS process that has been worked on here for the last couple of years, of really identifying students no matter what grade level they're in, and providing the additional time and support that they need in order to get them up to where they need to be. So if they're in 7th grade, 8th grade, and they're not at the proficient level of reading, then the middle schools have intervention opportunities to give those students some additional support. And it is interesting, not only with the different curriculums that have been taught, but depending on kind of where students were in their progression when COVID hit, we see different types of impacts. And the middle schools and high school are certainly addressing those through that tiered support model.
If I could, I would just add as well, at the all the secondary schools now, they have built-in intervention periods into their calendars for students. And so in line with the MTSS modeling for students who do need that extra support, there is now time that didn't exist before, where they can get extra support and extra help with reading or whatever it is that they need support.
So really quick, I know I'm probably going off topic here, but so in that interventions class, they can actually reach out and get services in those classes for help, like for reading, for kids that are struggling reading?
Yeah, and
or is that more like a time to do homework?
So the focus there, or the intent there, is not that the kids need to reach out for help. Certainly they can, but that we as a system identify the students who need help and get them grouped into with the right teachers at the right time during that intervention period to provide them with the support that they need, whether it's they need additional support in reading or in math or in other areas. Students who are on track will that time will look different for them, but that time being targeted based on the data that the schools are able to collect. And we're just in the process right now of, as you know, MAP testing, also getting back the SBAC scores. So these are important data points that we utilize in order to identify which kids need which support, and having that time, as Mr. Fueling mentioned, having that time built into the student's day is critical for us to be able to be flexible and provide students with the support they need in the right time. Yeah.
I did notice Mr. Varner had, I saw your eyes go up when I was reading some of these consequences, and I wanted to explain the Connecticut longitudinal study because it started in 1983, and they took they observed and interviewed 445 kindergartners, and every year they came back and interviewed these same students throughout the years. It is still ongoing 40 years later, and they have more than 80% of those original students still participating in the longitudinal study. That's how we get a lot of this information.
I appreciate that, and I didn't know my eyes went up. I guess it did. But anyway, I do have a question.
Okay.
We know that it's very important for kids to read. That's a given. We know that the school plays a large part in their learning to read, but we also know that parent involvement is a large part of it. So I guess my question is there anything the school district can do or is doing to send informational items home to the parents, stressing the importance of the children reading at home or being read to? So I'm kind of wondering if the schools do anything along
You're
those
gonna,
lines.
I'm gonna get on my soapbox because I
That's
agree
fine.
with you, right? We do need to partner more with our community. I truly believe that. I think that our physicians, our pediatricians need to be telling parents after a baby is born, you need to start reading to your kids right now. I don't know what the literacy rate is among our adult population. Asking parents to read to their students, yes, it's important. But if they struggle to read, that's going to be difficult for them to be able to do. The new program does provide letters to parents with every unit that is taught, skills and knowledge, in both English and Spanish. All of the reports that come out of the program are in English and Spanish. One of my colleagues, Joanna Kaiser, and I will be talking to Mr. Bringhurst and Mr. Fueling about having some type of a night where parents can come and learn about literacy, just about literacy, K-5 literacy.
Good. And also, I guess I'm disappointed, but I'm glad that we're moving away from HMH because my understanding it was not as successful as what we hoped it would be when it was purchased. So I'm glad that we're moving on.
We purchased it because it had a lot of text with it, but it didn't help teachers at all.
That's my understanding.
So,
Thank you.
I have a purchase question. Is this something that is purchased once, or is it for a set number of years? Like, how often is this reinvested in?
The contract is for 7 years. So and that's the pretty typical rotation for the curriculum, generally speaking, 5 to 7 years between each adoption. And so we were able to do this one on a 7-year purchase.
I'll just close this up with saying one of the things that Pam is really humble, and when she is a leader in the state when it comes to literacy, and any initiative that was coming up in the State Board of Education, she and one of my teachers last year were always involved. And so I would have a board meeting, then I would know the next day Camille was going to come in and say, well, Pam and I are enrolled in the blah, blah, blah. I'd say, yep, of course you are. So not only that, but the RFP process to look at the read by grade 3 examination, the extra work and vetting of things like letters. And so your leadership is appreciated, and we appreciate all you do because you're not only a great teacher, but you're a great leader. So thank you.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
And also, thank you for the teaching. Reading is rocket science.
Yes, it truly
I
is.
enjoyed reading that. Thank you.
Good. Great. Okay. Let's see here. Right.
Thank you. Next up, we have Ricky Medina, adoption of CCSD test procedures and test security plan for the 25-26 school year as required by NRS 390.275. This is for possible action. Good evening, Mr. Medina.
Yeah, good evening, Ricky Medina, Director of Accountability and Assessment for the school district. Yeah, thank you for having me. The document that's in front of you is pretty much the same document that we've gone over, I want to say like almost the past probably like 10 years. There's 2 pages that have been added at the end, and I'll kind of explain what those are in a few minutes. And I'm going to walk through, I'm going to kind of highlight some of the big takeaways that are inside the plan. And the plan opens up talking about test participation. And the way test participation works from the feds as well as the state, we have to test 95% of all of our students. We also have to test 95% of all of our subgroups. And the reason why that's required was because in the past, school districts would do shady things and not test kids that they knew weren't going to do well. Like you would schedule field trips for certain sub-pops because you knew they weren't going to do well on the test. So it's a federal and state requirement that we test all of our kids. And when we're talking about sub-pops, a lot of our sub-pops, like when you're talking about the special ed students or ELL students or pretty much any of the sub-pops, they could be really, really small at a particular school, especially at an elementary school. So usually that means that if any, we're only allowed to not test one kid out of a small sub-pop. And there's consequences if we don't test kids. One, there's consequences for the schools. It could result in a reduction in points for their star ratings. But most importantly, it could have instructional impacts on students. So we have students that your test scores are used for things like gate placement or your math placement or your reading placement. So like for gate, we're able to look back like the previous 2 years of your test scores. If we don't have any test history for you, you're not as likely to have the scores that you need to get into that particular program. Teachers also use these scores for instructional purposes, making planning decisions when they're planning for what they're going to do when kids show up. So long story short, there's no exceptions for students opting out of testing. I get that question every year, like my student, I don't want them to test for this particular reason. And unfortunately, if they're enrolled in our school, they have to test. And the state looks at it like, and there's like a super duper like exception that we've never really been successful at applying for the state. Like if a kid's medically fragile, if we can document that like taking the test is going to result in the kid dying or being injured really badly, the state would allow them not to test. But the state's position is like if you're providing instruction every day to kids for 7 hours and we're paying you to do that, how come they can't take the test for 2 or 3 hours? Sometimes there's a disconnect there. So yeah, there's no opting out. This particular plan, this is our district test security plan. There's a state test security plan that's very similar. Schools also have their individual site security plans that kind of go into details about like where they're going to store their test materials. What are they going to do if a fire drill happens in the middle of tests, that type of thing. In addition, for all of the tests, there's test manuals that teachers and site test coordinators, which in our district are the vice principals, have access to that they have to read to prepare for the test. And there's also individual training. So like when we take the Smarter Balanced Summative Assessment, there's training that company provides in addition to what's in the test security plans. So the test security plan, it lays out like that we have to do things like when we have to send out test results. So we do that within 15 days of getting the results back. We test at schools whenever possible. There's one exception for homebound students. If we need to go out and test students at their household, we send somebody that's a licensed teacher out to the site to test the students. The process is super duper secure. So like materials get delivered to the district warehouse. Those get delivered to the individual school sites. Once they get to the school site, they're locked up either in a secure cabinet or at the high school, they have like a room that all their test materials are stored in. The materials get checked out each and every day. Teachers have to sign that they're taking this many test books, and then at the end of the day, they have to submit those test books. Most of the online tests have tickets that come with them. Those tickets are treated as being super duper secure. So if a kid goes to the bathroom, they have to be escorted to the bathroom and they take their ticket from them before they leave. This past year, we had a total of 13 irregularities, and they were, I don't want to say trivial because I never want to say an irregularity is trivial, but 4 of those were students logged into the test, and within like the first minute, something happened. There was a technology issue. The test shut down, and site had to reach out to me to log in for them. That happened 4 times. 4 other times it was an accommodation issue that like the accommodations didn't work. So maybe the kid was supposed to get like text to speech and their headphones didn't work. Those were caught. Were allowed to get like for the Smarter Balance assessment within the first like 5 questions. Most of those 4 happened like immediately. Like as soon as the test started, teachers realized that accommodations weren't working, so they stopped the test and redid it. The only one that I would consider an irregularity was we had a teacher that didn't read the directions like verbatim. Like you're supposed to, you have your test manual, you're supposed to read it directly from the test manual. That didn't happen. And then one of the other ones was we had a issue where a teacher gave an extra minute of testing. Like anywhere else, I don't know if anybody would have ever like reported that like, to me, that speaks to the integrity of the teacher. Like it created a lot of paperwork for that 1 extra minute, but the fact that they were willing to kind of fess up and said that they did, like that kind of speaks to their character. The 2 pages that were added at the end, the state has like a weird rubric because they have like federal requirements of what has to go in the test security plan. And most normal people could care less about what some of those are. Like one of them is that we're going to protect FERPA, which is the Family Education Rights Protection Act. We're going to make sure that like no personally identifying information gets out. With test administration, everything's super secure, nothing leaves the classroom. So there's really no way to kind of like break FERPA. So that's why at the end, there's that 2 pages that kind of addresses the things that the state needs so that they don't, it's in the document, but so that they don't have to read through it and kind of hunt and find where it's at. Yeah, and with that, any questions, comments, complaints?
Seeing none, I'll call for, this is an action item, so I'll entertain a motion.
What number is this? 13.
13.
Okay, I move that the Carson City School District Board of Trustees adopt the Carson City School District test procedures and test security plan for the 2025-2026 school year as submitted in accordance with NRS 390.275.
We have a motion from trustee Roberts and a second by trustee Walt. Do we have any, what? Do we have any further board discussion? Seeing none, do we have any public comment? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Thank you,
Thank
Mr.
you.
Medina. It's good to see your face. I hear your voice on all these meetings recently. Item number 14 is the discussion on proposed changes to CCSD Policy 546, electric device usage. This is a first reading and discussion only. Assistant Superintendent Bringhurst.
Thank you, Vice President Walker and board members. This is a look at revisions to Policy 546. There was passage of SB 444 that updated requirements about use of electronic devices in schools. So as such, we have made some proposed updates to Policy 546. Some of these updates are driven by those changes in SB 444. Some of these updates are based on feedback from our administrators. As you know, electronic devices are an ever-changing challenge that schools face. and experience has led us to make some additional changes as well. So just walking through the policy, you see the first changes is adding the student clinics and health offices as places where it is prohibited to capture audio or video, along with the restrooms and locker rooms. So feedback from our administrators that those are also critical
Mr. Bringhurst,
places.
we have a question for you real quick.
I'm sorry.
Okay, sorry.
I have, I didn't know we had student clinics. What are student clinics? And health, and are the health offices the nurse's office?
Yes, we also have our school-based health clinic behind PDC.
That's okay. You also see a paragraph that has been added there about secondary schools that have tools to help reduce cell phone usage or other electronic devices. Currently, those, as you are aware, are the Yonder pouches. And so we wanted to address that in this policy, that there are tools. We didn't specify exactly what those tools are because those change over time, but that there are tools and the specifics of those would be laid out in the student handbook for those schools. Below that, the paragraph talks about recording without the consent of the other individual being prohibited. Again, that was based off of feedback from our administrators, as well as using electronic devices to share personally identifiable information of others without their consent. The next section is directed by SB 444, that we specify the consequences that are issued, that can be progressive in nature and as determined by the number and seriousness of the violations. As you know, that falls in line with Board Policy 525 that addresses student behavior. The consequences that you see listed there below, those progressive consequences, there are no change to those consequences. Also dictated by SB 444 is that there are some exceptions to this, that students may be able to use electronic communication devices during emergencies, for instructional use when the teacher authorizes that, or in some cases based on a student's IEP or 504 plan. And then that definition there is also drawn from SB 444. Those are the changes that we have proposed for this policy.
Thank you, Mr. Bringhurst. Do we have any discussions, questions, clarifications from the board? Go ahead, Molly.
No, I just have one comment. I am so thrilled to see that there is going to be a consequence if a student is videotaping when somebody is not aware. I am thrilled to see that, but thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Steve Varner, were you?
Yeah, I just wanted to clarify, I think I know the answer, but those pouches, the Yonder pouches are still going to be utilized, is that correct?
That is
The high school?
correct. At the high school and as well at the middle schools. A little bit different implementation at each school based on the needs of their school, but those are still being utilized, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
All right, last call. Thank you, Mr. Bringhurst. Okay, Molly can't control herself.
I know,
One
I'm so
more.
sorry.
That's fine.
I mean, and this is just, I think, and I don't know if this will ever come again, but in all honesty, I would wish that the consequences were a little bit more harsh. Honestly, like the first is just a warning and a confiscation, of the device. At this point, when we say that it is not to be out, I would, I know it's not for us to, but just know that if you ever decide to make those consequences a little bit more harsh, you would have my full support.
Thank you, and I would say with that, these consequences are a baseline, and different schools, based on their needs, may have consequences that are more severe. It is also written such that the administrator has the leeway based on the seriousness of the violation, right? It's a little bit different. Let's say if I take my phone out in class and I'm playing a game on my phone. Not appropriate, there's a consequence. Versus I take my phone out in my class and I'm filming my classmate in order to make fun of, bully, harass them. A totally different consequence, in which case you're probably not even following. That's not simply an electronic violation, right? There's bullying that's taking place there. So the consequences would be more severe. And we give that leeway to the administrators to make those decisions based on the circumstances. Yeah.
Item number 15 is a discussion and possible action on selecting a topic for the 25-26 Carson City School District Board of Trustees sponsored Great American Essay Contest. This is for possible action, and we will turn to Mr. Fueling.
Thank you, Vice President Walker. As you may remember or be aware, annually the Board of Trustees sponsors an essay contest, and this started soon after the events of 9/11 in 2001, and really an opportunity for the board, I think, to recognize students and their work and being thoughtful about society and America and the opportunities that we have here. Over the years, there have been many different topics for the essay. And so that is a part of this evening, trying to begin that conversation at least of potential topics for the essay. For 5th grade, 8th grade, and 12th grade, there's a first, second, and third place winner, and each one receives a cash award for being selected as one of the top essays that is submitted. So this is also, just to note, this is open to all kids of Carson City. So it's not just Carson City School District students, but I think recognizing that this is something that it's important for our community, for all of our kids. And so giving that opportunity to all the kids to be a part of that. So participation is voluntary. That's important. We don't force our kids to write these essays. There's what they're looking for when judging is adherence to the topic, originality of thought, and use of the traits of writing: ideas, organization, voice, word choice, sentence fluency, and conventions. So tonight is the beginning of that conversation of selecting a topic for the 2025 essay. In your packets, some general ideas were added in here for what you may consider, and you may have some very different ideas of what you think would be appropriate for a topic. I would just always try to just recognize that we have elementary age kids, middle school age kids, and high school age kids. So the answers can be very different, but something that conceptually that at least an elementary school student can wrap their head around if they're going to write that. So happy to turn that over.
What's the timeline? So like, when is the essay due? Oh, I didn't get to the last one.
Oh, there we go. Actually, I have a
Oh.
timeline.
Ah, shoot.
Yeah.
Okay.
So October 15th, the essays are due. And then we have a judging panel that will review them after that.
So I was thinking, as we were talking about Sea Hill, maybe something about symbols of freedom were all around us, and maybe even listing things like Sea Hill, Statue of Liberty, you know what I mean? What symbols are important to you and why? Something along those lines.
Okay, on that subject, I said mine is, I do, it says celebrating freedom. Okay, but the reason is, I guess, because July 4th, 2026 is the 250th anniversary, right, of the Declaration of Independence. So that's where I kind of went with my ideas, was towards the 250th, which is why Sea Hill is getting done. And I don't know if y'all know that we're going to get 2 big flags, one at the hospital and one at the other end of town, by like the size of the one, the Reno RV park. They're doing that, and it's all going to be celebrated on the 4th of July, is the anticipation. So on that line, it says, celebrating freedom, the importance of Independence Day and its meaning in our lives. Sure. Celebrating freedom, the importance of Independence Day and its meaning in our lives. I had another one, but I think it would be too hard for elementary.
On that topic, what's a leading question we could put on the end of it, kind of a prompt for writing, and that could also be a way to support the younger students into formulating some thoughts. Yeah, so read it again, and I'll think as you're.
I don't mean to do that. So the one that I just read was celebrating freedom, the importance of Independence Day and its meaning in our lives. The other one, though, that I had, but I just thought it might be too much for elementary, is the impact of the Declaration of Independence on American identity and values, celebrating 250 years of freedom. So I don't know if we could include, like, celebrating 200 years of freedom, the importance of Independence Day and its meaning in our lives, to do something with the impact.
Could we write something along the lines of, what do you hope freedom looks like in the next 200 years of our country's existence? Thoughts from, you ready, Michelle? Was that your?
Just a thought on it. I love where you're going with that, but with the actual 250th anniversary being in 2026, would that be one that would be better suited to next year, since this one rolls into 2025?
See, and that's what I thought too, but it's leading in, and we're all these activities like Sea Hill and then what we're doing for the flags are all kind of leading in, because it is on the 4th of July is when we actually celebrate 250 years, and then 2026 would be after. So I thought about that too, and I thought, well, should I throw it out there? But just because I know the city itself is, the planning and everything is already started to try to, so I don't know.
I don't have any super formulated thoughts, but we could also.
I could.
Yeah. Along those same lines, something to do with the courage of the founding fathers to do what they did, to step up and speak out and be justice warriors or whatever. I don't know how the words, but if you don't want to go straight to the text, you can go to the people.
Okay. Rebecca, you have any idea? Thoughts?
Not really. I was just looking at the list that was already provided. I thought that was, here's what you pick from. So I liked number 7, think of someone in your life who is a hero and why, because I thought that was a good, simple for the elementary level, yet you're going to get some really good responses from the older kids as well. So that's what I was looking at.
Richard?
Yeah, I found several that may be worth considering. One is, what does patriotism mean to you? Simple. Another one, why is it important to love and respect your country? That would be maybe all age groups. But I like where Molly's going with the 250 coming up. But there's so many What could you contribute to make your country better? I have one more. How do national festivals help us feel pride in the country? So that was just a couple ideas that I found today.
Okay. Matt?
I liked your comment on the symbols. You know, I do think for me, just being born and raised here in Carson, I love that flag and the C up there. It's just always been something that's very symbolic that I like. But I think everybody, whether you're from the East Coast, West Coast, South, another country, what is symbolic that makes this country great that you like, something like that. I think we could really personalize it to each student and they could make it their own. I think that would be great. Some, Statue of Liberty makes me think about how great this country is. I don't know, just something. I like the symbolism aspect.
Well, and maybe pulling some, well, or even with yours, as we near the 250th birthday of this great nation, what symbols of freedom are important to you?
And then I like Richard's putting in something about the patriotic as well.
Okay.
Adding that in, I don't know how you would do that, but I think that is because the flag is.
I would just
all
caution us not to get too
Too, I
complex
know.
because we're going to have young kids writing. So we want to be able to pick it down to something that's easy to formulate a response to.
What happens if we did something with the 250, but made it a patriotic symbolism? Something to that
So
extent.
do you want to draft something for us?
You can't do that in here.
Mr. Fueling, you have any suggestions? So, and just for Trustee Roberts' sake, every year this is the discussion that catches us. So there's suggestions. I don't think we've ever just gone with a suggestion, though. Just saying.
FYI, I think last year, I think it was
Yeah.
Mr. Sadler that
Mr. Sadler came up with
he
it.
came up with his ChatGPT and put all of our thoughts together and came up with a great. Are you working on that?
At least you're honest, Mr. Sadler.
Trustee Walker, you're all my bosses, so I like everything that everyone has said.
Absolutely.
What about like just what symbol makes America your home? So like, for instance, I was born in
Okay.
Carson City. Sea Hill makes America my home because
What
very
symbol of freedom?
Carson City, me and Ryan, for instance, like Sea Hill has always been there. So
In the past, I mean, the kids have always put a lot of thought into it, and so we want to give them something that really provokes that thought process, where we just don't get a 1 or 2 paragraph. Some of the kids have written 5, 6 pages to answer the question, and I might add, they all put a lot of effort, and they do a very good job. So something that's very thought-provoking for the younger kids and the older kids, I guess.
We could start it with, as we approach the 250th anniversary of the Declaration of Independence, what symbols, culturally or historically, do you see in your life that that lead you to gratitude for the freedoms secured by those before you, or something?
Okay. I think we're on the right track there.
So yes, so I did just ChatGPT it because you can use your phone if you can't use your computer, but, so it says the 250th anniversary of the Declaration of Independence calls us to celebrate our patriotic symbols while renewing our commitment to freedom, equality, and justice for all. But then you'd have to add, like, what does this mean? What symbol means something to you? What patriotic symbol means something to you?
So read that again, would you? Sorry.
The 250th anniversary of the Declaration of Independence calls us to celebrate our patriotic symbols while renewing our commitment to freedom, equality, and justice for all. Then we would add
Of freedom.
important to you, or impact you, or important to you.
I think are most important to you. Are you capturing that, Renee?
He's trying.
Yeah. Do you want us to read it again?
Yeah.
Okay.
Please.
Don't get me in trouble with the boss. Yeah.
So, okay. The 250th anniversary of the Declaration of Independence calls us to celebrate our patriotic symbols while renewing our commitment to freedom, equality, and justice for all. Then what
Symbols of freedom? And then I wanted to say like culturally or historically because I don't want it super limited, but my mind is blank because I did not ask ChatGPT.
Are most important to you and
Are
why?
impactful to you and yeah, I don't remember. I'm
I would-
sorry.
One suggestion for Molly, I would say call on us, right? Are you serious? So I would say, Renee, would you read back what you have, please?
Really?
Yeah.
The 250th anniversary of the Declaration of Independence. And then Michelle says, what symbols of freedom are most important to you?
Okay, so I did find it. All right, the 250th anniversary of the Declaration of Independence calls us to, and you're,
On us too.
okay, so calls on
us.
us to celebrate. Okay, somebody should be writing this. I'll write it. Okay. And then go on. And then what was Michelle's then?
It's what,
What symbols of freedom are most important to you and why?
yeah. And I think that's, for all
Okay.
levels, that could get us there.
Okay. Do you want
I can
this?
get the rest when I, you know what I mean, when I go to listen back, or I can take it from you. But then I have the what symbols of freedom are most important to you and why.
So
Just for the record, I think it was what symbols of freedom culturally and historically are important to you and why.
yeah. Okay. Thoughts, discussion, alternatives? Okay. This is a action item, so I will entertain a motion.
Do we need to read it or can we just say
No,
and as
It-
presented?
it can be a motion to approve the essay item as
discussed.
presented and discussed.
Okay. So I move that the Carson City School District Board of Trustees approve the essay, the sponsored Great American Essay Contest topic as discussed or presented and discussed as the topic for the 2025-2026 board-sponsored Great American Essay Contest.
I'll second.
All right, we have a
And
motion
before
from
you call
trustee
for-
Walt.
Sorry, Mr. Vice President, before you call for the vote, the record should reflect that the full text that was presented and discussed will be included in the minutes.
We have a motion by trustee Walt and seconded by, was that you? Miss. All right, any discussion? Okay, seeing none, any public comment? Seeing none, I will call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? Motion passes, and I think that was one of the quickest trips down this topic we've had in years, so that was a great job, guys.
It's always so difficult.
Yeah, I mean, we got it down. Item number 16, approval of the consent agenda. This is for possible action. Okay. We have a motion by trustee Walt, second by trustee Clapham. Any discussion from the board? Go ahead.
This is probably for Mr. Fueling, but as I look at the consent agenda and I look at the request for vaccination exemptions, and I see that there's 73 religious requests for exemptions this year. Seems like more than in the past, or is that about what we get every year?
I think that's about in line with what we've received over, I'd say, the past few years. There definitely has been a little bit of an uptick compared to where we were, say, 10 years ago.
Yeah, it just seemed higher to me this time.
Renee just noted too, just the timing of the start of the school year, there's a larger chunk that happens at the beginning of the school year. That is traditional.
All right, any other questions about the consent agenda or discussion? Seeing none, I'll call for any public comment on the consent agenda. Seeing none, all those in favor? Any opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. Item number 17 are informational items. These are for discussion only. No action will be taken. I trust everybody has read through those. Do we have any specific questions about informational items? All right, seeing none. Item number 18, requests for future agenda topics. Go ahead.
Are we going to continue with the financial workshops next month as well? Yeah. Okay, thank you. I just find them very helpful. I appreciate it. Thank you.
And do we know when the star ratings are coming out yet?
September 15th typically. Right? Yes.
So maybe sometime after that, we can get a presentation on those?
Yeah, I believe it's that second meeting in September after they've been released that we have a formal presentation on those, yeah.
Michelle, were you getting ready to weigh in? Okay, it looked like you were getting ready to push your button, so. All right, any other future agenda topics? Seeing none, we will move on to item number 19, adjournment. Thank you everyone for your work tonight.